I was regarded at Harvard Business School as being a communist.
Ken is fun, and Ken is a great friend to Barbie.
There's no empathy measure on most people's performance reviews. But if you don't have that, I think it's almost impossible to be an excellent marketer.
The brand manager is the general manager of the brand.
I was just this fat unit, you know what I mean, in a suit, and it was clear that I was not the same as the others.
Welcome, everybody, to another episode of WFA's Better Marketing, this time live from Brooklyn, where I'm staying with some friends on my travels. And today got the absolute delight of interviewing Asmita Dubey, the new Global Marketer of the Year. Welcome, Asmita. How are you?
Hello, David. I'm very well, and thank you very much. Very happy to be here chatting with you.
Well, I'm delighted to have you, and I know all of your team will be delighted that you take this honor on their behalf, because as we've seen in many a time, the great job of a CMO is to lead a wonderful bunch of people, and to get this kind of recognition is really great for all of you. So tell me a little bit about how you manage your team, your style, your structure, how they're going to be feeling as you celebrate this success.
In the role of the Chief Digital and Marketing Officer, my job is the transformation of marketing. And that transformation in today's world, because the pace of transformation is accelerating, we have to perform, while we transform. And in that sense, we have a great talented group of more than 5,000 digital and e-commerce experts in the company. And they are performing while they are transforming all the time. So my focus is on 6S here. Strategy. Whatever we do, we have to have clarity in terms of where we are going. Skills. Therefore, we keep upskilling all our marketeers, digital experts, e-commerce experts. We keep bringing new skills and upskilling them all the time. Speed, to do that with agility. Share, so we are very good at sharing best practices everywhere around the world. And scale, because it is with scale that we bring impact. Then on a personal leadership, we just did our Briggs-Meyer tests, and I'm INTJ. I'm somebody who loves, you have done the test yourself?
Many a times, yes.
It's always interesting to do it and to do it with our teams. Well, that's who I am. I love this combination of math and magic, the combination of the use of left brain and right brain, bringing creativity and technology together.
How magnificent. And rather, as do I, you share an agency background. So I know you started out agency side before you joined, I think, first L'Oreal in China.
Yes.
Can you pull out a little bit, what you learned from your agency days, and how you see that now, and how you're building effective partnerships? Because the thing I observe is all those of us that have worked inside agencies tend to get the best work out of agencies because we know how to. Can you talk to us a little bit about that?
Absolutely. So I started working in 1997 in advertising, and that is where I wanted to work. And I spent about 16 years across different holding companies. And in 2013, I joined L'Oreal China as the CMO. And then from there on to APAC, and then Paris. I've been in Paris for the last 7 years. What do I specifically learn? And then what, as L'Oreal Group, we have been doing very well. I think the two join, in this conversation. And when we talk about our success, so the success of L'Oreal is based on a few pillars. I'll give you a background on that. We have a very unique model of business. We are pure players in beauty. So we do only beauty, and we do beauty across price points, across geographies, across channels. We have a very strong innovation, R&I, but overall an innovation in our DNA. We work with the power of 37 global brands.
Yeah.
We are championing beauty tech and digital, and we have a very strong culture and values. Our teams are very, very engaged. So that is internally who we are. And then the success of our transformation and our innovation roadmaps are very much with a very large ecosystem of partners. Yeah. And when I say very large ecosystem of partners, let us start with the big tech, the GAFAM, with which we have world class joint business plans. So world class JBPs, with the likes of Google, Meta, Amazon, TikTok, Snapchat, and other players. And to give you an example, we have the largest CPG research program globally, in terms of all different players with Google.
Yeah.
Then when it comes to agency holding companies, we work with them for decades. They have been our very strong partners. To give you an example, the tagline, L'Oréal Paris is the #1 beauty brand in the world. And it represents women empowerment, science, and Parisian elegance. And the tagline, because you are worth it, which is now because we are worth it, was something that a copywriter in McCann wrote back in 1971. So our partnerships are very deep and very long standing, and we have strong MSAs with our holding companies, and they share a lot of our values. So, whether it is about how we do responsible advertising, how we have an influencer charter, how we are thinking in terms of trustworthy AI, all that are shared values with our, agency partners. Third, we are very, very active when it comes to new kind of ecosystem of partners. And when I'm talking about new ecosystem of partners, these are partners when we run website programs. We run more than 500 websites for our brand.com and more than 250 direct to commerce websites. Then we have new partners, whether it is Valtech, Photon, Sapient, Sitecore. These are new partners. When we are shifting to new marketing like advocacy and influence, there we have a new set of partners and tools, companies like Tracker, Influential. When we are talking about data-driven marketing, then again we kind of embrace a new set of partners there, which are either referred by the big tech companies like Jellyfish, MediaMonks, Convertio, who do really, they work very, very closely with us to make the transformation. I will talk about two more kind of partners. When we talk of Gen AI, everybody is talking about generative AI now, and we have already started working with a suite of partners, both on the technology side, on who's doing the LLMs, but also in service models, whether it is with Publicis Bria or WPP Open or BrandTrack Group, Pencil AI. So we have a very large ecosystem of partners, that keep on growing. And then we have an open innovation system. So an open innovation accelerator in France at Station F, where we have almost 60 seats for startups. And we have Bold, which is our business opportunities for L'Oreal development, where we actually invest in startups like Rembrandt, which is a product placement company which is doing product placement based on AI technology. So if you look at all of this, of course, on many different ways we are partnering, and there are hundreds of partners who are part of the journey with us.
Well, and your excitement is palpable, which is always a delight to see. Tell me a little bit about how, in all of that context, global, local works, because the shifting seeds of local, where I believe you described your people, but everybody tells me L'Oreal is unique when it comes to this, but of course every company is unique. But what's your approach to structure? What's the day in, day out experience?
Yeah, sure. I would say that we are a metrics organization. So we have almost 90,000 people who work in a metrics organization. And that metrics, on one hand, it is based on global zones and countries. And on the other hand, we are operating with multi-division, divisions, which is 4 divisions: consumer products division, luxury division, L'Oreal Dermatological Beauty and Professional Products division, and brands. And our brand presidents report to the division heads, who are the business heads. So from a marketing point of view, we have global brand presidents who report to the divisions. And then we have marketing teams in the countries, which are the operational marketing, who do the activation. If I take that to the CDMO function, which is Chief Digital and Marketing Organization, here also we mirror the same matrix organization. And here I had mentioned before, we have more than 5,000 digital and e-commerce experts. And the way they are working, I would say, overall, our strategy as a group is to be strategically centralized and operationally decentralized. Yeah. And in that strategically centralized and operationally decentralized model, for the CDMO function specifically, first we have common set of strategic frameworks for everybody. We have a CDMO wheel globally that is adapted by zones and by divisions. And with that, we also try to have a common currency, the language that we speak and the way we describe things on what we want to do. Then we have a common set of values. I mentioned it before. So how do we do responsible advertising? How do we do trustworthy AI? What is our influencer charter and how do we interact with influencers? We also have common factories of operationally. When we run websites, these are website factories. When we create content digital asset management tools, these are global and therefore rolled out globally. When we are talking about D2C tech, the direct to commerce websites and how we manage them, these are global in nature. So there are some global operations and global factories and programs on, and a lot of global programs on which we work. We also have global JBPs, we just spoke about them, and therefore KPIs that are standard and that are measurable, that are in a dashboard, that are put in golden rules so that everyone knows where to go and how to operate. And the last commonality that we have overall, we have common beauty tech data platform. So our data models are more and more common, and we have one of the richest database in beauty, which brings in all our scientific data, as well as data from different areas of services and all. So all those are common. And then when we come to the countries, that is where all the activation lies. So good ideas come from everywhere and good ideas come from countries. After all, in this matrix organization, it is the country and the brand that is closest to the consumer. So they are the ones that are bringing us a lot of insight on our 2.9 billion addressable consumers, whether they are in emerging markets or developed markets, whether they are Gen Z or boomers, whether they are using skincare or fragrances. So what we do very well is then from there, we use those best practices and we scale those best practices all around because we have very strong communities across these functions. And we are an organization that loves to interact. Our culture is about exchanging, about one-to-one exchanges, about group exchanges, about workshopping, meetings, sharing successes. So that's how we work and succeed in the matrix.
That's fantastic. So the sharing and scaling bit of that, I think, is probably worth discussing a little bit further because it's easy to say and it's still difficult to do. But how do you vet? Because obviously, in your position, you're also wanting to make sure that the right things get to the right places at the right time, and therefore you've got to have some guardrails around it, I suppose. But can you tell us a little bit about that? Because the 2 or 3 things I'm really fascinated here is the speed that you're moving at. To keep an ethical framework in place, I think, is tricky. You were very early adopters of influencers, and I think lead in many ways the market on how to use influencers smartly and how again to put guardrails around that. But I guess it's this dichotomy of speed and scale and guardrails to keep all of that a little bit for us. I know that's a long question, but I think it's a fascinating area.
One of the ways of making this work to bringing things at speed, but then scaling them is because for the last 115 years, innovation has been in our DNA, you know. We love to seize what is starting. So that is in the culture of the company. And we have three pillars of innovation: science, technology, and creativity. So we are innovating across all of this. How do we stay agile is exactly that, because innovation is in the DNA of the company. So every time we see something that is starting, we love to seize it. And how we seize it is through pilots and through experimentation, through this open innovation system, through partnerships, through strategizing it well. And here I can pivot to what we are doing, for example, on generative AI. So generative AI is we are at a new frontier of technology with generative AI, and everyone is exploring it. And to build the L'Oreal Group approach, we have created a generative AI task force. And in the head of the generative AI task force is somebody who is working very closely with the R&I, technology, digital marketing, and human resources, because we feel that the technology is going to impact all these functions of the organization. So she's the head of the task force. And then when it comes to marketing, uh, we believe that augmented marketing is the future of marketing. Yeah. So while it has been augmenting with purpose, with multisensorial experiences, with data, and now we believe it is going to be, first, strategically, we believe that it is going to be augmented by generative AI. So strategically, we define that what are the use cases that we are going to work on. So we are going to work on content. We are going to work on services, because this is going to create a new generation of beauty tech services for us. We are going to work on consumer care, because consumer care will really be enhanced with generative AI, is what we believe. And we see that around us. We are going to work on search, and we are going to work on managing intelligence of insights teams and all. So that is the kind of strategic framework for generative AI that we agree on. And therefore, from there on, everybody, we start to doing pilots in terms of with brands and with countries. So we already defined that, let me give you an example of content. On content, we created a generative AI beauty content lab called CreaTech, because technology is coming to creativity. And with this lab, across divisions, which is all 4 divisions, we started working together. And in the last 6 months, we have tested more than 20 LLM models. We have created more than 1,000 images. And we are working with more than one partner here. Like I mentioned, we are working with Publicis Bria, with WPP Open, with the Brand Trek Group. We are working with all the tech partners, whether it is Google or Microsoft or some of the others. So we start to pilot it like that, and then we start to see the results. And as we see the results in terms of content, if I were to say, and I'm going to finish on that for this particular point, we already start to see that everything that we do in terms of these images needs a creative direction. So that there is a combination of creativity and technology. We start to see that we can really scale image production in social and e-commerce. So we are now thinking of the architecture and business models of how that could scale. We start to see that probably there is some merit in understanding 3D custom models for products, because starting from design all the way to activation, it starts coming in. So that's how we start learning on the subject and scaling and creating models and all, so that everybody from the organization can start benefiting it.
And perhaps to bring this further to life, you could give us a specific example of something that's benefited the consumer. So, for instance, I could really do with your help, and generative AI, I'm sure, is even now working on how to make me look less ugly. But have you got specific things that you can talk about? Because I think that's where this really comes to life.
Generative AI?
Yeah.
On everything, we are the number 1 beauty company in the world, and we believe beauty is an essential human need. Yeah. So it is a very, very individual need, but it also deeply social. So as a group, we have decided that we will not use AI generated hair or face to enhance our product benefits in external representation of beauty.
Great.
Yes, we will use it for ideas generation. We will use it for inspiration on new codes of beauty. We would use it for storyboarding. We would use it for social and e-commerce. So one of the examples that I can use you is that we start seeing, and again, generative AI is still in a controlled experimentation phase in our company, but we start to see that it saves us a lot of time in terms of storyboarding ideas between the marketeers and the agency partners.
Yeah. And I know you use this phrase of explanation of augmented marketing, founded on a strong digital core, I think is what you talk about. Now, when I first heard that, I leant back and I thought, what does that mean? You know, so obviously using all the benefits of tech, but can you talk to that when you're talking about augmented marketing? How do you see that?
Yeah. So marketing, beauty marketing, if we step back a little bit, it has been getting augmented. It was getting augmented by purpose. If you see purpose, like the consumers, are shifting, and we want to be more inclusive, more sustainable by design. So there is an augmentation that happens to the way we've been working. It is definitely getting augmented by multisensorial experiences. Before we were in the offline world, in the physical world, then we moved to the digital world, and there are so many beauty experiences that we have been reinventing in the digital world, for our consumers, be it in the gaming world or the beauty tech services that we are bringing with AR and AI. Marketing is also getting augmented by data across business levers. So we speak so much about data driven marketing, which is an augmentation of how we used to do marketing, because we use data now in the business levers and in decision making. And then when it comes to generative AI and technologies like AI, we definitely, the whole discussion today is that how is it going to augment creativity or augment our employees, or create more efficiency, make them save time and put their resources on more strategic tasks. So therefore we are saying that we are augmenting marketing with a strong beauty tech and digital core. And when we say beauty tech, we are championing beauty tech, because beauty tech to us means a new kind of relationship with our consumers, one that is based on technology, data, and AI, one that brings more personalization, because we believe that in beauty for each, powered by beauty tech, it is actually a shift in our strategy, because before we used to say that we are about beauty for all, and then we are shifting with personalization, with technology, data, and AI to beauty for each, which is powered by beauty tech.
Asmita, give us a little bit on where you see L'Oreal leading, and perhaps you could give us some examples of how all of this is coming to bear for the customer.
Yeah, sure. So happy to share that. I think, we've had a great start to the year. Yeah, we just published our Q1 results, and we are at plus 9.4% year on year, and after 3 years of consecutive double-digit growth. So I would say in terms of marketing, we are leading across 2 or 3 areas. First, in terms of deeply connecting with our consumers at the speed of culture. And there, if you see, in terms of entertainment, our brands participated to Super Bowl 2024 in February. Our brand CeraVe, they did a great campaign in terms of entertainment, with Michael Cera. And it was filled with humor, because Cera to us means 3 ceramides, which protect the skin barrier. But then there was the name of Michael Cera, and Michael Cera was claiming that he is probably the one, who has kind of come up with the CeraVe of the brand, and there was a whole teaser around it in social media, and in the end, it was revealed, and it was very much in the brand DNA, because we said that no, actually, the heroes are the dermatologists, because CeraVe has been made by dermatologists. So it was a very entertaining campaign. So was NYX Professional Makeup, who was part of Super Bowl too. We are also doing, beyond entertainment, our brands are very much into causes. Yeah. So which is where, again, they're deeply connecting with consumers within the cultural context, because L'Oréal Paris is the number one beauty brand in the world, and for decades it has been supporting women empowerment. And one of the biggest proof points of this women empowerment is our program Stand Up, that we work with Holabek, a company which is fighting street harassment. And year till date, we have educated 2.5 million people on what to do when you see some kind of a street harassment. Either you face yourself
Yeah.
or you see somebody else facing it. So in terms of connecting at the speed of culture with our brands, that is one area because of which we are leading. And the second one is our beauty tech and digital championship. So we are number one in terms of share of voice worldwide, offline and online when measured. We are number one in share of influence in beauty globally with all our brands. We are leading in digital sustainability, where we are partnering with a French startup, Impact Plus, to measure and reduce the CO2 emission of our digital campaigns everywhere around the world. We are also pioneering beauty tech services. So when we say beauty tech services, for example, we are doing virtual try-ons or skin diagnosis. And one example is how Maybelline is partnering with Microsoft Teams. And now if you go to Microsoft Teams, you can choose one of the 12 virtual makeup looks of Maybelline. And finally, I would say that in terms of connecting with the speed of culture, in terms of leading beauty tech and digital, but also in terms of being very data driven when we come to A&P optimization, because 32% of our net sales is A&P. And here we are bringing our proprietary ROI tools like BetIQ. Bets is our beauty engagement touchpoints. And the tool is measuring ROI in the short term, but also with a great focus on long-term ROI.
So, Asmita, you and I are going to meet in person shortly, which I'm really looking forward to, in Toronto, when I'm going to be moderating a panel about the role of the CMO today. And we're positing the notion that it's almost an impossible job at the moment. It doesn't sound like it is for you, so I can imagine what you'll talk about. But can you tell us what your point of view is on that heady subject?
Yeah, I'm first. Yes, I really look forward to being in Toronto with you and with all the marketeers, and it's going to be a very interesting discussion at the panel. To me, the job is about working with the management of the company to become future fit. And when we become future fit, of course, there are things within it which are difficult. Yeah, but at the same time, they are fascinating. Yeah, and like I said, I think I've been thinking about the subject, and one of the things that the CMO and the CDMO job is to perform while transform. So on one hand, there's a pace of transformation coming, and then you're performing. And there was a question that you asked, that on one hand we want to be agile, we want to innovate, but then we have to scale, we have to deploy. Yeah, or it is a very strategic job. So we have to simplify what we are saying and bring clarity, but it cannot be too simplistic, because it is about building expertise. And then one hand, we have to bring expertise to the company, and new expertise. Data was an expertise in the company that everybody brought in. Digital transformation was an expertise. Bringing technology is an expertise. On the other hand, we also have to integrate this expertise into the marketing teams very, very quickly, so that it gets integrated. And in all of this, it is true that this performing while transforming, this dichotomy is what makes the job fascinating, because you're constantly working with both your faculties to say how to do the both right.
Yeah, very good. And also, I'd like to end on what's top of your agenda, and what do you think CMOs around the world should have top of their agenda at the moment?
I mean, top of the agenda is definitely to to be future fit, you know, and within that, what drives us all is to do is to make choices that drive return on investment, for us in the short term, but also build brand equities in the long term. So it still comes back to making that choices that are serving both.
Well, listen, no wonder that you are the Global Marketer of the Year with results like that and growth like that and such brilliant examples that really bring to life what you're doing. So thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us. And I'm really looking forward to talking to you in person in Toronto very soon at the Global Marketer Week. And I hope we'll see many of you there. But again, congratulations to you and all the great people of L'Oreal for doing such a brilliant job. Thanks so much.
Thank you very much, David. See you soon.
Okay, everybody. Look forward to seeing you all in Toronto. Take care. Listen.